So we'll just wait. We'll just wait a couple of minutes and see if anyone joins. And I'm just gonna zoom around some of the greenery that I'm going to be using. Got some holly. I actually found some with berries. I've got some eucalyptus. Lots of things. As you all know, I've been foraging for the last couple of weeks. Okay, so I'm going to pass the phone over to my mum, and she's going to record me doing this, everyone. So if you have any questions, by all means, just pop them in the comments and my mum will read them out to me. Is that all right, Mum?
Fine. Yep.
Yeah? Okay, so let's get started. So, hello everyone. Most of you probably know me because I only shared this to my followers this morning. I'm Michelle and my little business is Michelle Made This. And as the name suggests, I make things. And the thing with me is I like to make things simple and I like to make them so that you can make them too. And today I'm going to show you how to make 3 really easy wreaths in time for Christmas, or you can make them now and hang them up. And I'm going to start with an embroidery hoop wreath. So a lot of people ask me where I get my wreaths. There's different types of ones you can get. You can get these metal ones, which are called wreath forms or wreath bases. Or like I said, I'm going to use an embroidery hoop. And for those of you that have been following me, I have been making foraged ones. I have them all put away. This is a really small one. But these are vines that I've been gathering on the roadside, and I dried them into wreath forms. So if you have, I know some of you have been doing that and have been waiting to see what I'm doing with them. So you can do that as well. So what else do I need to tell you? What you need tools wise. The main thing is a secateurs for cutting your greenery. If you don't have a secateurs, you can use any scissors. Definitely don't use your dressmaking scissors. I've got a little wire cutter, but if you're using fine wire, the scissors actually works. And ideally you will have this really fine wire. I think I bought this in Sostran Green. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but you can get it in any hobby shops or in the garden section of shops. You can get this green. It's slightly heavier, but it's actually easier to work with. It's quite pliable. You can get that wire. So that's all you need, and obviously plenty of greenery to work with on your actual wreath. One thing I will say is if you're making a wreath and you're going out foraging, definitely get way more than you think you're going to need. So I just want to check get a thumbs up from people. Can you hear me okay? And is the light okay? Maybe give a thumbs up and Mum can tell me. Otherwise I'll just carry on. Okay, so we're going to start with doing this simple little wreath. So it's just a little hoop with some greenery and a few little fir cones. And all we need is, like I said, some greenery. And what I find the best thing to do with everything in design is work in threes. So I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of greenery, and with this wreath I'm doing one of those wreaths where the greenery is just to the side. So you lay them down like that and we're going to wire them on. So because this is quite small, I'm going to do one by one. So we want a bit of wire, and we're literally just going to wrap that round the first stalk, and then I'm going to lay the second bit down and I'm going to wrap that around there, and then I'm just going to bring the third bit in and do the same thing. And this time, because I'm adding a little bit of holly, I'm actually going to wire that in at the same time. So I'm just going to lay that on top. Can everybody see that okay? So just get another little bit of wire. And again, we're going to wrap that around. It's a little bit tricky doing this live, trying not to prick myself. If you've worked with holly, you'll know what I mean. You do need to be careful, and this really isn't for anyone who's fussy about their manicure and their hands, because you will get scratched. Okay, so once you've done that, try not to break the leaves off. I find I don't tend to like seeing the wire. See, there's a little bit of wire there. I'm probably just being fussy. But when that happens, I just like to cut off another little sprig of greenery. Got plenty here. And then I just continue to cover that, wire that around with another little bit of holly. Okay, and this time I'm going to use a little bit of the darker green wire because it's going to be on show. My wire cutters have had a busy morning. So again, I'm going to wrap that around. And you want to make sure that you wrap it really, really tightly, because especially if you're going to hang this on a door, especially outside, it's going to get a lot of wind. So there's one. And then what you can do is add some little fir cones. Okay, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you add the fir cones? I see people using hot glue. Ideally, if you're using real foliage, I would suggest that you don't use glue, that you continue to use wire, because then when everything's dried, you can remove it and use it again. So with the fir cones, you get the wire and you thread it underneath. I don't know what you call these, not leaves.
Acorns.
No, but underneath, what you call like the leaves, for want of a better word. Anyway, you thread it underneath. So see the way you can't really see the wire now? Well, I hope you can't.
No.
But that's the idea. So then you can actually add that into your wreath, as opposed to using hot glue. And then when you want to, when your wreath has died off, you can actually use the base again, and you can use these again. So I'm actually going to add that in separately. So is everyone okay? No one's asking any questions?
No.
Great, that's good. Well, feel free to ask any questions though, or afterwards I'll load it up to IGTV and you can ask away then. So this one's a little bit small so you can see the wire. So twist it round. So I'm being quite quick now because I'm conscious we're doing this live, and I would definitely add in a third one, because anything in design, like I said, you always go with the rule of 3. And then to finish it off, I definitely think it's worth investing if you come across any red velvet ribbon if you're going for the more traditional look. So I don't know if you saw what I did there, and that is your wreath. Okay, so that's wreath number 1, using an embroidery hoop. So the next wreath that I'm going to show you is quite popular, especially on Instagram. It's what I call the Scandi wreath. So this is just a metal hoop. Again, I actually think I got this from that shop, Sostran Green, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. If you don't have any of these, get yourself a wire hanger, and you can form
Question
that
here,
into a
what
circle.
are you using for the circular piece to stick everything onto?
So this is what I'm talking about. So this is a wire ring that I bought in Sostran Green. The one that I just made, if that's what you're asking, that was a wooden embroidery hoop. So you can get them from any craft shop or haberdashery shop.
That's fine.
Yeah, and yes, if you don't have any of those, you can manipulate a wire hanger into a circle. It is a bit tough to do, but you can do it, and you can use that. Just put that down there. So, getting back to this, we're going to do like a simple Scandi style, and the best and most popular, of course, is eucalyptus, which is absolutely gorgeous. The smell is fabulous on this. So I've gone for 2 stems of eucalyptus. If you don't have this in your garden, you can definitely buy it from florists, and some of the supermarkets have started doing it, definitely. And then I've got 2 sprigs of rosemary. I'm lucky to have both of these growing in my garden, but the scent is lovely. And then you simply place 1 sprig of eucalyptus and 1 sprig of rosemary on one side and have your wire to hand. I find doing the hoop a little trickier because it kind of slips, it keeps going round in circles. And secure the wire. And this time, what I would suggest is that you don't cut the wire. Keep the wire on the actual reel. And then get your second sprig and bring that in here. And again, with the rosemary, I'm going to put that on top. And like I said, we're going to keep the wire on the spool. And you're really pulling that taut. And just wrap that around.
Question here, do you have a video on how to make the ring made from the vines you forage?
I'll show you. I've got some vines here, so I'll show you that in a second, no problem. Okay, and that is literally it. So these are quite long, so I probably put 2 more little bits of wire there, and then it's up to you what you want to hang it with. Some people like to use like twine, and some people like to use, oh my god, I've forgotten the name of it. Anyway, raffia. So raffia looks nice on these types of ones. So we pull that through. Oops. So sorry, I'm working quite quickly, so I'm not securing it. Again, lots of people, I see them keeping them quite loose like this, but I think maybe, whoops, in this one I just put 2 more bits of wire up here. Okay, so that's the simple Scandi style. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So next, we're going to go down the more traditional route. So this is the one, I'm just doing a small one for demonstration purposes, but you can get bigger rings of these as well. And this is the one where I was saying, if you're making the more traditional one full of foliage, make sure you get way more than you think you possibly need.
Do you leave the forage for a few days before making wreaths, and where do you buy the wire?
Okay, so the foliage, some of this greenery I only picked literally a couple of hours ago because we had it out in the garden. And then the other Christmas tree foliage, I've had this a few days sitting in the house actually, and I just had it in a jug of water. If you're making these in your house as well and you don't like creepy crawlies, my advice is to keep everything in the bath because they will have creepy crawlies. And the wire, you should be able to get that from any sort of hobby shop. Again, like I keep saying, I'm sure I got it in Sostrin Green, but I've definitely bought it in other places. It's a really fine gauge of wire. And the other thicker one I got was probably like in maybe Eurogiant or somewhere, but again, it probably would have been during the gardening time. But if you go into a hardware store in the gardening section, you'll get it. Okay, so the traditional wreath with full-on foliage, as I would say, basically what you need to do is, again, the rule of 3, and you create little mini bouquets. So in typical live situation, here's some I made earlier, but I'm just going to show you how I did that. So you just get some greenery, okay, and you want to cut 3 pieces. 2, 3. So again, I'm just using a secateurs, but you can use a scissors if you don't have that. So you get 3 pieces and you just lay them on top of each other, and you get your wire and you wrap that around really tightly. And then I tend to leave like a long enough stem, long enough piece of wire so that when it comes to adding it to the wreath, I've got plenty to wrap around. Okay, so you literally do that. You make up several little bunches of greenery to put on your wreath, and then you get your wreath base, and it's simply a matter of wrapping the wire around it. And then, so what you do as well is, when it comes to laying the second one, you don't want to place it too far away. You'll often see that with like mass produced ones sometimes, and they're gappy, and you don't want to put it right on top because it's too bulky. You want to kind of position it halfway, okay? And then you just get that more even sort of fullness around the wreath. And again, I'm just wrapping the wire around. And again, second one. And what you'll notice here is I've just used 2 different types of greenery, just to give it a different look. So put that on there, wrap the wire around. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Just to let everyone know, I'm going to be doing lots more lives as well over the next few weeks. Mum will be glad to know that she doesn't have to film all of this. I do have a lovely girl, Maeve, if she's watching, coming to help me on work experience. So we're going to be recording lots of content. And I am going to have exclusive content for subscribers to my mailing list. So if you want to subscribe, if you go to my website, michellemadethis.com, and if you scroll down the website, you'll see halfway there's a little sign up box where you can enter in your email address. And as I say, anyone who's subscribed will be getting more video content and more tutorials, and I have lots of downloads that I'm working on as well, so it might be of interest. If you like this video, I'd be very grateful if you could share it. Sorry?
How long should the traditional wreath last for if kept outside, or how best to keep it fresh?
So if you want to keep it really fresh, the best thing really is if you're doing them with like oasis underneath it. But for me, I'm trying to keep them as sustainable as possible, and oasis isn't really recyclable. So the best thing is just make them. So if you want it like for Christmas, I would wait until maybe beginning of December, if not sort of mid-December, before you do it. But they keep pretty fresh. Like, they're not going to dry to a crisp. Like, these are ones that I made. Obviously it's not the same greenery. This is what I've done with the vines I collected, and I gathered ferns and stuff, so they've gone like proper dried wreath. So I'm probably not really answering the question. Oops. So the fresh green ones, this type of greenery lasts quite a long time, but if your door is exposed, so I can't really have a wreath at my front door, it's very exposed, really windy, it totally gets damaged. So I would just make them a couple of weeks before Christmas. Just noticed I haven't wired that very well. One of those is loose. So this again, if you're making your wreath for outside, make sure you use plenty of wire, especially if we're going to be getting storms like we have been. So that's just a
Lovely.
plain green one. What I would then do is add extra foliage to it. So I love this look, and you can pick this up on any roadside in Ireland. Ivy, it's everywhere. And what I like to do then is stick that in as well. Now I'm just pushing this in just to be able to show you. Again, I'm not sure if I mentioned that now because I've practiced and I don't want to be repeating myself. Always make sure that you do everything in the one direction, and that way it will look more uniform. So if I was doing this properly now, I'd be wiring these in. Just conscious of the time. So just got a few more. And it's up to you as well. Some people like to have full on foliage the whole way around. Some people like to just have it on the side, and some like to just have it
Somebody
on the
requesting
bottom.
to be in the video.
Okay, don't worry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so that's with the
Yeah.
ivy. Sorry, that fell off there. Again, you can start adding in things like fir cones, just like I showed you earlier. Wire them up and add them in. But as I say, I definitely would go for the element of 3, and you can either just do it in one section or you can add them in all around.
How would you add Christmas baubles to this wreath?
So Christmas baubles are really easy. Just use your wire. So on the Christmas baubles where you've got the hook at the top, just thread the wire through the hook, and then you can attach them onto the wreath as well. And obviously if you've got holly, it's really hard at the minute. I found I've got very little holly with berries. You can add that in as well. Again, wire that in, okay? I'm just conscious of the time, so I'm not going to do all that. If you can't get holly with berries, I had a little trick for you. You can add red in other ways. So this is just a little hair clip that I have. So go have a look around your house. We all have something, and like you can just pin them into your wreath for instant red colour. Also, I've got little, this was a necklace, a red bead necklace. So if you just get some wire, and thread through the beads, you can add these to your wreath as well, just for a little bit of red colour. And I think that's a nice little touch if you can't get berries, because like I say, that's one thing every year everyone's asking me, where do you get the berries, where do you get the berries? So you can add some all around your wreath like that. And then the last thing obviously is your ribbon. So again, I definitely suggest red velvet, looks really good if you're going down the more traditional route, or twine, really popular as well. And if you can't get ribbon, have a look at home at any old clothes you've got or bits of fabric and tear them into strips, and that looks equally as lovely on a wreath. I don't want to pick it up now because I haven't wired it all in. Okay, so again, if you're interested in learning more about doing the wreaths, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos online, but I'm going to be doing more content for subscribers to my mailing list. So if you go to michellemadethis.com, you can sign in there. Halfway down the page there's a section where you put your email address. So I'm going to be doing more video content for subscribers, and I'm going to be offering downloadable content as well. So there's going to be sewing, loads of Christmas crafts, and some printables as well. And I think that was everything.
Yeah, there was a lady here, she missed the beginning. Where did you access the base to create the wreath?
Okay.
Loving the live, Michelle, and well done video.
Oh, thank you. So I had a couple of different options for the base. So these wire bases you can get in any sort of hobby shop. So if you're in Roscommon, Frances Finishing Touches, she definitely has these. You could also go online, I'm trying to think what the hobby shop is called, but you can definitely get them from any hobby shop. If you are friendly with your, oh no, they're not open, the flowers.
Sustering
Are
green.
they? Sustering green, yes. I don't know if that's open at the minute. That's the hard thing at the minute. But if you can't get it in the shop, what I said was use a wire hanger. So this doesn't look great, but you can form it into a nice neat circle and cut, I find, the hook off, or you can bend it down and make sure you put loads of foliage, okay, on it. The other thing I used here on this one at the beginning, this was just a wooden embroidery hoop, again, that you can get in any haberdashery store. And then, oh, I said I'd show someone how to make it out of foraged material. So this is an example of the vines that I've been collecting. Now, unfortunately, I've left this one go a bit dry, So when it's dry, it's a bit more fiddly to work with because it tends to crack. But you'll find it almost naturally goes into a circle. So I'm going to try and do that and prove myself right. I'm just going to cut that bit off. It's a bit long. So can you see already? You literally just twist it, twist it, twist it, and that's it. Okay, now the advantage of doing this when it's fresh is that you get a much more compact wreath. But if you leave them dry like this, it's a little bit more loose. But either way, I think they're really pretty. I love the foraged wreath. Okay, so these are some that I made. Now they're very tiny. I was doing these just to hang on the cupboard doors. But you can see they're a lot more compact and they've dried more solid, whereas this is more loose. Okay, so this is just willow vines that I picked in the hedgerows. And this is an example of one that I did. This was ivy. So if anyone's seen me the other day, oh here, this basically this was this. So you can actually pick these. Oops. If you are on the roadside, you'll often see this just hanging out of trees. So
have you done a wreath with red dogwoods?
No, I haven't, but I do have some red dogwood outside, so I can do that again. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so the ivy, you'll often see that just hanging from trees, and you can just pull that down as is, and then you can form that into a circle like this. And this one is one from last year, so that's how it dries, just to give you an idea. And again, it's so simple. You literally just form it into a circle. And some people, like I personally, I love this just on its own without any ribbons or extra bits. So, oops, getting caught up there. Okay, just to give you an idea of how simple it is. Like you don't need all the extra stuff. I'm kind of twisting this around now. Okay, I'll probably do it that way.
Lovely.
Okay, so that's the foraged ones. I think that's everything. So again, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'm so glad this is over. I can relax now. And again, I'm sorry I keep repeating myself, but if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, definitely follow along on my Instagram, Michelle Made This. There is going to be way more content over the next few weeks. The hashtag is hashtag Michelle Makes Christmas. So if you make anything, definitely tag me. And if you want to see more exclusive content, I'm going to do a full-on Zoom workshop as well. Just go to my website, michellemadethis.com, and enter in your email address to be added to my mailing list. I'm so excited. Okay, that's it, everyone. It's a wrap.